My name is Phil Perazio, and I'm a urologic oncologist, a surgeon. Like many of you, I absolutely love what I do, and I would not choose another profession. But I have struggled with professional identity, practice efficiency, and wellness over the years. Operate with Zen is a podcast designed to explore a mindful approach to surgery and to being a surgeon. By discussing these struggles and mindful solutions, I hope together we can create a community of strong and healthy surgeons. Enjoy. Welcome to Operate with Zen. Today we have the great pleasure of being joined by Ashley Cantley. Ashley, introduce yourself.
Thanks. I'm excited to talk to you about this, or to talk to you today. I am a certified Feng Shui expert. I'm hold a red ribbon designation from the International Feng Shui Guild, just means that I know my stuff. I'm an expert in human design. I pair it with Feng Shui, and I've been doing Feng Shui for a good 10 years, and I use it to balance my life. And I'm also a writer, a filmmaker, a director for the past 20 years. So I use Feng Shui in my life, and I like teaching it to other people to help improve their lives.
Yeah, so really excited to have you here today, Ashley. And Ashley and I met through her husband, who's Thomas Cantley, otherwise known as Mr. Ballsy in some circles. And we've all kind of become pals over the last few years. And Ashley's got an amazing background, as she alluded to, but what we're here to talk about today is space and setting up effective spaces as a surgeon, as a physician, as a father, as a husband, as a mother, as whatever your roles may be. How can we help you be more effective in the spaces you set up? And so why don't we start there? Tell us why setting up space is so important, and then we'll get into some of the background and history of Feng Shui.
Yeah, so Feng Shui is all about balance and creating balance in your space, which correlates to creating balance in your life. Like whether you believe it or not, Feng Shui, every area of your home or your space correlates to an area of your life. So you could approach Feng Shui just like from the standpoint of, I want to feel great in my space. But then you can also say, I want to create more balance in my life, more happiness, more peace, more love, more abundance. And you can really use your space to draw that into your life. And I always say, think about how you feel in walking through like Versailles. That's what I think of. Like, I feel inspired. I feel like wealthy. I'm like, I get into that mode versus how do you feel when you're in a dingy, like New York City apartment, looking out to an alleyway, like a mouse or a rat runs through your apartment, you have roaches, you definitely feel the impact of your space, whether you're conscious of it or not. So Feng Shui is like creating the best space to elevate you.
Yeah, and I think it's a really important part. We can either be, as you said, kind of passive victims or observant of the settings we're in, or we can help craft and create our spaces for the outcome we want. And I think it's an extremely effective but small tip for people is, listen, if you want to be effective in your workspace, craft your workspace to be effective for work. If you have a workout space in your home, craft it to be effective for working out. Your bedroom should be designed and crafted to help you sleep. Maybe some other things in the bedroom, but we're going to focus on sleep.
Yeah. And like, it's also an opportunity for you, like when you're redoing an office, it's like, how do you want to see yourself? How do you want people to see you? It makes an impact. You can design your space so that you walk out of your office feeling confident or feeling peaceful. Like there's so many opportunities to create a space to help you with whatever you're dealing with at work.
Yeah. And I think to get into a little bit of Feng Shui, and I'm no expert by any means, but I think some of the concepts of Feng Shui make a lot of sense, right? There's these core components: fame, wealth, partnership, family, knowledge, And for the surgeons and the physicians listening, career and helping people, or being a helpful person yourself, are all part of this framework and this concept that we can instill into our life through our physical spaces.
Yeah. And so Feng Shui is an ancient practice. It's a branch of Chinese medicine. I feel like a lot of people don't know that. And there's a reason why people have been practicing it for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so, yeah, what I practice, it's a modern version that was brought here in the 80s, and it blends Chinese medicine, Indian practices, shamanism, and quantum physics. It takes all of that into account to create a space to, like, help you enhance your energy. And I feel like there are so many wrong ideas about Feng Shui. Like, people think it's Asian decor, or like, it can be if that's your thing, but it works with your own style. People think it's just rearranging furniture. It can be, but there's a lot more to that. And people think it's like very rigid rules, but it's like, I always say, it's a living, breathing practice that works with your style and uses your intuition as a guide.
Well, good. Well, bring us into some of the basics. If someone's interested in, reinvigorating or redesigning their space, how should they get into it?
Yeah, I think the first step, I always say, it's easy to design a nice space. So easy. You can just you can do the thing that everybody does, and your house could look like nice, but does it have a good energy? That's another thing. So the first thing, and does it have purpose? So decide what you want your office to do for you, or what you want your space to do for you. If we're talking about offices, like, are you frazzled all the time and you want to feel more peaceful? Okay, great. Now, like, you're going to design your space with peace in mind. Or do you want a promotion? Are you going to design it with that in mind? Like, definitely have an idea of what you want your office to do for you, because then every single thing that you bring into your space, and every picture that you hang, has a purpose, and there's intention behind it. So that's the first thing I would say to do.
Yeah.
So
I was just gonna say,
yeah.
I love that. We talk a lot on this podcast, especially with surgeons, about developing and cultivating purpose. And you can get a lot of enjoyment and a lot of wellness when you know what your purpose is. But I don't think a lot of us think about cultivating our spaces with purpose. So I just want to highlight, I think, how important that can be to our overall sense of well-being and who we are. So brilliant.
Yeah. And people sometimes will be like, do you like this? And it's like, if you're like struggling with a piece of furniture or a desk, it's like, well, what's the point? Like, do you like it? Why is it red? Or why is it the color that it is? There has to be a reason for it if you're like working on changing your energy and elevating. Yeah. There are a few like basic things we could talk about in terms of setting up an office. If we're just talking like not just anyone, the best thing to do is, I can already feel like you're doing it wrong. No offense.
No worries. Hey, we turned the camera on for a reason. You can see right into my office, and I appreciate the help. Help me be more purposeful here.
Yeah. So you think about your desk. You want a sturdy desk, like, the best option is like a sturdy solid wood desk. It conveys power and wealth, and you want to place it so that you can see who's coming and going out of your space, because whether you realize it or not, like, your subconscious is always worried about being startled if your back is against the door, whether you're conscious of it or not. Like, you never know who's going to walk in, and then it creates subtle anxiety in you. So that is like rule number one for office spaces. And then obviously you want to bring life into your office, especially, I don't know if you have a window there, I can't see, and you can do that using plants and color and artwork. And you want to think about lighting. Lighting is key. Overhead lighting is like an energy zapper. So I'm just like looking, I see you have overhead lighting. Yeah. I think. So if you can, natural lighting is the best. I think we all know that, right? And then you can get lighting that mimics your circadian rhythm, so that it regulates your sleep and you feel like a normal, healthy person on a regular schedule. You can buy a good chair. I feel like that's key, comfort. And I have like one feng shui hack that I feel like fixes every space, which I'll just go ahead and tell you right now, which is have you ever seen Swarovski crystals, like the
Mhm.
round spheres, like
Absolutely.
40 to 50 millimeter in size, and just hang it from the center of your room? And that fixes any kind of weird, like room sizes or energy blocks that are going on.
That's
And
really
it also
interesting.
throws out really pretty rainbows in your space, just side note. So
Yeah. I mean, you can see how, there's, you can figure in the emotional and the kind of mental side of it too, but it changes your perspective by putting something in the middle of the room, which you don't necessarily think about, just something subtle like that. Really, really interesting kind of point. And I just want to touch on, I love what you said about the chair too. And I would say not just comfort, but if this is a workspace, something to potentially help, you want to sit in something that's going to give you dignity and give you kind of
yeah.
purpose, right? It's going to help you sit up tall and be focused on what you're doing, right? When you want to cuddle into a chair and read a book, you want something big and comfy that's going to cuddle you, but that's not your office. Or for most people, that's not our office, right? So think about those things. And I love that, Ashley.
Yeah, you want to think about how you feel, and then how you're perceived. And if you're like exactly right, if you're slumped down and you're like, and people walk into your space, what are they going to think about you? Is it what you want them to think about you? Because you have an opportunity to create that.
Yeah, so the camera's not doing full justice, I think, to my office, but I'll move my head around a little bit. So as you can see, left side of screen is the door. That's where my scrubs are hanging in the background there. So when I'm sitting at my desk working, I actually am facing around, facing that door, seeing who's coming and going. The computer's towards the back here.
Okay.
So computer monitor is in the back. So if I'm on the computer, I am not facing the door. So I've been thinking about swinging my computer around so it's a little more
Yeah.
front facing. So that might be something I'll experiment with over the next couple of days to see if that works well. Definitely have overhead lighting. This is a hospital. It's an old hospital building. So I have two nice sized windows, but I'll tell you, it's a little dark in here if I don't have overhead lighting.
So I would recommend bringing in a lamp. Like, I know the thought of bringing stuff into your space and doing that can seem exhausting, but just a few little bit of effort can dramatically change the way you feel. So why not bring in a standing lamp or something with a little better light quality? And then they even have things that you can buy if you're I was in the hospital last week for Thomas, actually, nothing serious. And I was like, being in the hospital, I lost all sense of time. I didn't know what day it was, what time it was, because it's all closed in. So you can actually buy these things like lamps online if you look up lamp lighting that mimics the sunlight. And they have all different shapes and kinds, and it's literally the same light that the sun throws off to you or throws out. So it can get your body feeling normal again.
Yeah. And it's so funny how you do feel, I've never thought of that, how exhausted you feel from being in fluorescent lighting all day long. I
Yeah.
mean, it really is draining. And you're right, it totally kind of zaps your circadian rhythm. And as surgeons, we spend a lot of time in an operating room, often with no view of external windows to have any idea what's going on in the day. The only rhythm we have is how long this case usually takes and how we're progressing through it. So I think important insights into how we can purpose light and into our day.
Yeah, it's strange. It's a strange feeling, and I can't imagine working there all day. And what was I going to say? Organization is key too. It looks like you have a bookcase, which is great, and or everything should have its place, because clutter, I feel like everyone knows this by now, right? Clutter creates anxiety, and if you're seeing a mess, it's creates anxiety. The other thing which is good for efficiency is not having anything to stumble over when you're trying to walk in and out your door, or there are no rules. If there's a garbage can over there or whatever it is, a fax machine, and you're walking up every second to access it, like, you can move your space around so that it's things are where you need it when you need it. I feel like people arrange their lives around their space instead the space should be designed for your life. And that's just one thing to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to swing the camera around a little bit. So, and I'll tell you just as an aside, when I started at this position, I had two goals on my first day of work. The first was to get my badge so I could get in and out of the hospital and parking and do all those things. And the second was to set up my workspace so that every day after that, I didn't have to worry about my workspace. It was set up and I didn't have to spend any brain power on that. It would just be a functional space that I could come in and start working on everything else I needed to. So yeah, you're right. So there's a bookcase there. And that is a combination of some educational materials, but a lot of those are actually gifts from patients that I kind of keep. There are some autographed baseballs, and there are some pictures of patients that I've developed really tight relationships with. There's some whiskey from Kentucky, and there's some, kind of inspirational pieces that sits kind of left of my desk, but in plain view when I'm sitting at my desk working. And that's, I think, one of the inspirations for what I do is our patients. So I keep that kind of in plain sight. I'll swing the camera around the other way. And so this is facing forward from the desk when I'm sitting at it. And there's all the certificates and diplomas and everything that a doctor is required to put on the wall, I think, mandatory. But the reason I put them there is I think they convey success and professionalism. And so when I'm facing forward at my desk, it's kind of a constant reminder of what I'm trying to do in this office, in this desk, is be professional, be a physician, kind of work towards that. And then if I keep swinging around to the right, I don't know if the camera can catch all of this, but you'll start seeing some windows, you'll start seeing some plants.
Nice.
And as we keep going, then there's a little more outdoor inspiration. There's some landscape pictures. There's pictures of my dog, which unfortunately who had passed last year.
Aw.
And then, some of the people I've worked with, and some more inspirational pictures, just to give a little more inspiration as I look towards the windows of, what makes me happy and what keeps me grounded. So I'd love to hear what I could do better in this space.
I love it. I already see things you can shift around. So remember I said there's something, maybe I didn't say it. There's something called the energy map, and you align it to your floor plan. And when you do that, you can see which area correlates to like your reputation and fame, or your relationships, or, that kind of thing. So where all of your medical degrees and license, whatever that is to the right, could actually go behind you where your inspiration is, because that is the area, your back middle area is the area that's correlated to your reputation and how you're seen in the world. So that would be energetically correct to have all of that behind you. And then, so I love that you have the bookcase filled with that. Everything you have in your space is great. I would move it. I don't know what the other side looks like, but to the right, because that's your relationship area. And so that would be energetically correct for that area.
Well, I'll show you. I don't know if the camera will swing around this way, but interestingly, and I'd love to hear your comments on this, if this is right, wrong, or none, but to the behind me at my desk is, and I don't know if it's going to come into focus, artwork from my children.
Yeah, that looks like it's perfectly placed, actually.
Yeah, so I keep that behind me to kind of keep me grounded and reminded of, everything else I have going on in life.
Yeah. What kind of plant is that in your space?
There is an aloe plant.
Okay.
There are some grasses that I keep.
Nice.
Because they're easy and hard to kill. And there's an orchid over in the corner.
You can never go wrong with plants. And the rule with plants is that you want to get things that are sort of like softer or rounded. So no like cactus. I know that's probably tempting for people because it's pretty easy to take care of, right? But because of the needles, it throws out like harsh energy. So it could create conflict. It can make you feel like conflicted inside, or it could actually create conflict with people, with you and the outside world. So that would be a no-no. Not that you have that, but I'm just telling the people.
Yeah, they're also hard to kill, so there's that benefit.
Yeah. What else do I see now? I don't see a lot. So I don't know how you're feeling or like what you need more of in your life, but you can have a diffuser to create calm, or if you need a pick me up, I'm not sure how your days go, you might need energy. So then you might want to do something, diffuse some citrus. And it sounds crazy, but the power of smell, like smell can really uplift you. It can calm you, like if you're using frankincense or lavender. So just adding a diffuser could be great for you. Okay, crystals. That's another good one. You can use crystals in your office. If you're someone who, like, you're feeling like you have a lot of low energy in your life for whatever reason, I know you guys have difficult conversations, you can bring in black tourmaline. If you want to clear the energy and bring some lightness into your life, you can bring in selenite. They actually have selenite lamps, which are really beautiful. And if you just want something to absorb like energy that you don't want, smoky quartz is really great. And if you don't even believe in the power of crystals, they're very pretty. So just bring them into your office and try it.
Yeah, I love it. And once again, listen, everybody's going to take away different messages and different take homes. And I think exposing people to anything and everything that could benefit them and benefit their spaces is important. And you're right. Listen, if you're not into the metaphysical, then hey, listen, you've got some beautiful crystals in your office. And if it does affect your energy, you've lost very little, right? By
Yes,
trying it. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm seeing in your space is a lot of brown, but I do see that you have your artwork next to you from your child, which is awesome. But you can bring in some, color, the color science and how color makes you feel. It's pretty amazing. And you could be really intentional with that. Like if you're just high anxiety, then you can bring in darks, like dark black or dark colors, your favorite color in the darkest version, and just put up artwork, or I don't know, if you have pillows or just anything in your space, just add dark. If you need like more of a pick me up, then like a bright color would be good, yellow. And if you feel like you need a little more like nurturing or like life energy in you, then green is a good color for that.
All right. What about a little more peace? If we need a little more calm,
Peace,
yeah.
definitely you can do the dark colors, because in Chinese medicine, like black is the water element, and water has the lowest energy. It's peaceful, it's calm. So you can do black like a dark lake, or you could do turquoise like the Caribbean, and channel that energy.
Love it. Feng Shui also talks about materials. If I understand the basics of it a little well. So tell us about some of the materials. We talked about crystals a little bit, but what else could we incorporate into our spaces and to take advantage of some of that?
Yeah, like a great space is balanced in textures and materials. So, you don't want too much wood. You don't want too much anything of your space, but think about the materials you're using, like woods and metal. You could bring in some metal into your office. You could bring in like a throw blanket to create like more warmth. Or if you have a carpet, I don't know, like you can go buy a carpet from Target and throw it on your floor. If you're spending a lot of time in your office, like more than an hour, it's worth doing this stuff. Like, and you can do like play with the texture of the blankets. Like it could be flannel, it could be velvet, it could be like textures make you feel different. Each texture makes you feel different. So yeah, like look at your space and say, do I have too much wood in here? Or do I have too much metal? Or do I have too much, whatever it is. And you can also, the other thing is water elements, as we were talking about for peace, they have these really cool, you could go to the Home Depot or Lowe's and get a plug-in water feature, and it'll just like a little water fountain in your space.
Yeah, I actually, I have both a diffuser and a little water effect in my workout space, where I do a fair amount of yoga, and it's where I try and meditate
Nice.
when I'm kind of home. And some of that practically drowns out the noise of kids, or just kind of creates some white noise where you can just kind of focus on your space. But you're right, it does create a sense of kind of peace and calm, and just allows you to create a space within a space to allow for whatever you want.
Yeah, to embody the energy that you want.
Yeah, I think they're all nice little easy fixes. As you said, Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon now, right? You can get most of these things at a very reasonable cost, and it can certainly affect the way you process a space.
Yeah. I have a tip too for people who are like overworkers, like people who spend too much time working, and who struggle with home life balance. And my favorite thing I like to say is like, don't move into your office, make it comfortable and nice, but don't bring in a couch to sleep. I mean, you guys are different. Surgeons are different. You might need to sleep, but like, don't bring your wedding pictures and the whole pictures of your family and post them everywhere. Like, you're never going to see them again. So you need them all up on your wall. Don't move into your office. Just create a perfect office space. And then it helps remind you to create balance in your life. I worked with kids. I worked with people on television sets, and they had pictures of their kids everywhere, and they called them their paper kids because they never saw them in real life. They just saw them on paper.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip. I think a lot of us do put pictures of our family and stuff because we love them and we want to see them, and we don't get to see them enough. But you're right. It can create a kind of false sense of being with them. So instead of trying to be with them, get out of your office and go be with them. I think that's a really tangible, important point. I love that. So tell us, people who are interested in this and really taking up on this conversation, what are some of the resources out there? How can people learn more about this? How can they really kind of investigate what's right for their space?
Yeah, well, I wrote a book, and it's really beautiful. And it's called High Vibe Feng Shui, 11 Steps to Achieving Your Best Life. And so the reason why I wrote this book is because I couldn't find a good source for myself when I was first discovering Feng Shui. So I've taken and broken it down into 11 steps to make it very simple to creating a space that not only that you love, but that feels good, and also that is purposeful and intentional. So I would recommend my book.
I love it. I'm going to get your book.
Thank you. I broke it up into 3 steps, and it's works a lot on your mindset, and then also fixing blocks in your space, and then also enhancing your space. And I talk about the elements, but it can be as complicated as you want or as simple as you want. You get to decide.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. I wish I had it before, Ashley, to be honest with you.
Well, go out and get it. It's at all the bookstores, and it's on Amazon.
Well, I love it. And, I'll tell you, we just got approval that not only are they going to renovate the space I'm in, but they're going to renovate kind of our entire urology space here. And so I really do want to incorporate some principles that are going to make effective space for all of us, as not only as individuals, but as a team, taking care of patients and taking care of people and being academically productive and all of the things we do at this office at the University of Pennsylvania.
I don't know if this is true. You were at Johns Hopkins before, right?
Yep.
I believe they've done studies of how the power of smell affects, have you heard this? Diffused frankincense in the spaces where the nurses and everybody works, and it completely dramatically affected the way they felt in terms of anxiety and stress. So that's something for you to think about, maybe.
Well, good. Well, you beat me to the punch on the question I was going to ask you. Is, thinking bigger, kind of how are we going to design a space for healing, specifically in medicine, right? That's one of our big tenets. Is what we want to do is we want to help people. We want to care for people. So what can help us design a space for wellness and healing?
I would say lighting. Natural lighting is always the best. I mean, my husband was sitting at the hospital just recovering from a minor surgery, and I was like, oh my God, this couldn't be a worse place to sit here and, let's get out of here. So lighting, natural lighting, and then other forms of lighting if you don't need the overhead, smells, colors, artwork. Gosh, I mean, people throw up artwork on the walls just to have artwork, but it really can drag you down, your energy. I mean, the generic hospital patient room artwork is just so sad. So just if you can, think about the images that are on the walls. I would say though, do those few things, and you can dramatically change the way people feel and heal. Also, one other thing, the center of your space represents your health and well-being. And if the center of your space isn't in good order, it affects all areas of your life. So you can look at the center of every room or the center of wherever, if you're looking at a whole department, you can go to the center and change the way that looks and feels to have a dramatic impact on all other areas of the space.
Yeah, it's great to hear you say that. I'll tell you, because right now the current space we're in, just to give everybody kind of a practical example, was previously a urology clinic. So the center of the space currently is an old waiting room. And the offices now were the old exam rooms, and they've been repurposed to be academic offices. And so it has a very weird vibe of kind of spreading us all out around this central space, which is not being used. So I think importantly, as we move forward, we're going to be looking at creating that center space that is shared and helps build community and healing and wellness. All right, Ashley. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today. I think a lot of people are going to benefit from this conversation and be more effective and intentional in the spaces they set up. But tell our audience, is there anything else you want them to know before I kind of summarize here?
I would just say two quick things. There's a concept which everyone has heard of, yin and yang, and it's really low energy and high energy. And you want to use the energy to suit you. So you can bring in low energy when you're feeling anxious and high energy when you need to pick me up. And I would say that obviously nature is the best place for us to be all the time, but that's not always possible. So you think about, you spend so much time indoors, it's worth putting extra effort to making your spaces, whether it's at home or the office, to make sure they nurture you, make you feel peaceful, make you feel happy, and so that you feel balanced in your life.
I love it. And I think that's the message, is being purposeful and intentional, not just with your life, but with your spaces. Right. And we work so much on who we are and how we fit into this identity as a surgeon or a physician or a mom or a dad or whatever the role may be. But we can really be intentional and purposeful with our spaces too. And some of the things that you said to really think about that I think sometimes we take for granted: lighting, color, energy levels. What is your kind of current energy level when you're working? How do you want to repurpose that energy? All of these things can be manipulated by the way we design the spaces around us. And I thought one of the most important things you said is don't move into your office. And I think that's great. This is not your family space. This is your workspace. So make it a very intentional workspace. Don't make it too comfortable. You want to get out of here at the end of the day and go home and see your family or your loved ones or your friends, or do your hobbies or whatever else interests you have that keep you healthy and whole and balanced outside of work. Make sure you can get away from your workspace and do that. And then lastly, I just want to take the opportunity once again to plug High Vibe Feng Shui with Ashley Cantley. You can find it on most major outlets, including Amazon. I'm ordering mine today. And anything else you want to tell us?
Awesome. Thank you. No, I think we covered it.
Yeah, this was awesome. Extremely helpful for me. So if it's helpful for me, I'm sure it's helpful for a lot of people out there. So thanks for your time and look forward to talking to you again.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.